Hello everybody, ZX Presto here, and today, uh, a lot of you may know that I love Seven Deadly Sins. So today, I'm going to be ranking all of the Seven Deadly Sins. And I'm also going to say where I think they scale, and I'll also give my reasoning. This is probably going to be my most controversial video, like alongside the Meliodas vs Naruto video. Um, this is going to be crazier because when I made that video, I hadn't watched all of Seven Deadly Sins yet. I've heard about what happened, but at the time I had only watched season 4 had been the most recent season I'd watched, and now I've watched the whole show, season 5, part 1 and 2, because I watched it on Netflix, dubbed, whatever. I know everything that happens, I know all the stuff that happens. Um, and I'm gonna start out saying, of course, this is all my opinion, up for debate. Everything is, but I'll give my reasoning, and if you disagree, you can leave a comment. First of all, none of these characters are weak. They're all very strong in their verse. Some aren't that strong outside of their verse, but in their verse, they're all like in the upper echelon of strength. Um, and in my opinion, Seven Deadly Sins is by far the anime that is the most underrated in terms of where people like place characters in power because it's like undeniably way higher than people actually think. So, I'm just gonna get into it. Number 7, we have Gother, as you can see. He's not that strong. I mean, he's a good hand-to-hand fighter. He has some physical strength. He's really good with illusions and stuff. Good at, like, taking over minds, but he's not that strong. I'd like put him at like I don't even know because like at a certain point, like after we get like past the first two spots, like it just jumps up in terms of the strength and power scaling. Like I can't see Gother getting above like Continental at highest. Like he's nowhere like higher than that. Like the biggest feat he has is taking out Escanor. Like he has a lot of attack potency because his attacks are basically durability and negation, and they'll always take you out in one shot if you use this blackout arrow. But it's not that fast. He doesn't scale that good with speed. I mean, like people say the speed scaling in Civilizations is bad, but I'd have to highly disagree because anybody that can go toe to toe with any of the Archangels is at least light speed. But I would not put Gother at light speed because he wasn't really so much going toe to toe with them. He was like being a support person that was also kind of getting mollywopped. I'd put him at like, man, like massively hypersonic. He's not light speed, not quite. I'd put him like just under light speed. I don't know. Okay, that's a weird one. I don't like scaling Gother or saying how strong he is because like it can fluctuate so much. But that's how I feel about him. I think he's the weakest of the sins. Now, number 6, Deanne. I don't think I'm gonna get any arguments about these first two spots. I mean, maybe you'll want to switch these two around, but after Deanne learns the giant dance, she gets pretty strong. I'd say she scales about multi-continental maybe. Uh, because at least in season 1, before she like had any of her new skills and she was way weaker than she is now, she was already like small country level to mountain level because she could just destroy that much area and like create that much area and like drop it down, that kind of stuff. I'd say she's like multi-continental to like small planet maybe at highest. She's not that strong. I mean, she got like a good hit in on the Demon King. She doesn't have any good speed scaling. I'd say she's slower than Gother, but just because of her way higher like attack potency and being way stronger, I think she outscales him. And is just more useful in more situations. I mean, she's good with hand to hand. She has the giant dance that can increase stats of herself and her allies. This is just where I put her. She can make catastrophic attacks. I think this is a pretty good ranking of her. Now, number 5, I have King. Now, people are going to be like, what about this? King is still very, very strong, and his scaling compared to like Deanne and Gother goes way up. And this is where I'm gonna. Many people are probably gonna argue with me about the first two scaling. Like, what Gother's probably like building low. Like, no, that's not how it is. I mean, every one of the sins is definitely gonna scale at least to Continental because think about it. So here's where I'm gonna start to get my explanations. So Chaos. We all know Chaos. He was sealed, or she, whatever, because they called her Mother of Chaos, Chaos, whatever. Chaos created the whole universe and all the dimensions with a thought. And if I lowball that, like massively lowball, that's a universal feat. Like massively lowball. And the Demon King and the Supreme Deity work together to seal chaos, which would probably put them both around multi-galaxy. Because if they both work together and both did 50% of the effort, that probably puts them about both like around 50% the strength of chaos. Unless you want to bring in semantics, whatever. I'd say they're at least multi-galaxy level. And by multi-galaxy, I mean there's like trillions of galaxies in a universe. So let's just say 1,000 galaxies. That's where I put them. Like I'm gonna get a lot of arguments about this, I already know, but that's just how I put them because chaos is a universal entity at very least. Like you can make so many arguments for chaos being way higher, considering chaos just created everything with a mere thought. But it was sealed by the Demon King and Supreme Deity, which scales them very high. So I put King maybe I'd say King can scale anywhere between like planet and star level. Because the reason I know he's at least planetary is because he went up against Sariel and Tarmiel, which created a dimension, which was. Well, no, he did more in the fight against Mael than Sariel and Tarmiel. And Sariel and Tarmiel both scale higher than, or at least planetary, because they both create a dimension that's at least the size of a planet, considering it has weather conditions. So that's where at least where King scales. I'd say you can maybe get him to like small star, but I think like planet to big planet is probably where he scales best. Next, we have Bonn at number four. He's really strong. After Purgatory, I'd say he's definitely stronger than he was before, despite not being immortal anymore. Um, he's still very strong. I mean, this guy, like, I don't know how high he scales really. Like, I'd say he probably scales like around. He scales higher than King. I'd say like maybe like star level. I think that's a pretty good statement because he's definitely stronger than King. He was around Meliodas before he became Demon King. He was throwing hands with the Demon King when he was like in Meliodas' body, which is a pretty good feat. Part of me wants to put him at Solar System, but I know I'm gonna get way more hate for that. Uh, And me myself, I don't know if I'd be okay with putting him there. I'd say like star level at most. Um, Bond is very strong. He has a lot of like he's like one of the most hacks characters in like anime. Well, not one of the most hacks characters in anime, but he has a lot of hacks compared to a lot of people that they consider have hacks. He has um Hunterfest, where he just steals the heart out of your body, and that's why they had to introduce demons into the show because they have more than one heart. That's how OP Bond was. And he has something that he only used once, which is kind of stupid and kind of like a plot thing, but he only used it once called Zero Sign, where it makes it literally impossible for anybody to detect you. Um, I remember I kind of debated somebody once because they said that Sage Mode Naruto, like from the Pain arc, beats Ban. And then I talked about Zero Sign. They're like, well, that wouldn't work against Naruto because he can sense emotions. But we know that it doesn't matter what kind of crap you can sense because Grey Road of Pacifism could have sensed Ban's intention to kill and Ban's emotions, and it couldn't. And also, Monspeet is like the best sensory being in the show, and he couldn't sense Ban either. So that kind of destroys that argument. So yeah, Ban is really strong. Hunterfest isn't the one that steals hearts. Hunterfest is the one where he steals your strength, which is also extremely strong. He can make you physically extremely weak and make himself way stronger, which is really OP. He has really high durability from being in Purgatory. Yeah, I'd say he's around star level, and he's about number four on the list in my opinion. Now, number three, Merlin. She showed herself to be extremely powerful near the end of the show. I mean, she was kind of dogging on Chandler and Kuzak. Um, which I don't even know if King or Bond could do that by the end of the show. I mean, maybe they could put up like a good fight against one of them. Like I think King might be able to beat Chandler, maybe, but like she like tricked them and knocked them out for a while. She massively outsmarted them. She also has the what was it called? Like time coffin. I can't remember what it's called. What she was gonna put like Meliodas' cocoon under, which is a really strong spell. She basically had everybody playing into her trap. I'd say she scales about star level like Bon, but not really much more. Well, I still think maybe Bonn and Merlin scale around solar system because they both have extreme feats against like the Demon King and stuff. And like I said, the Demon King scales to at least multi-galaxy, and there are many solar systems in one galaxy. So I'd say they are at least solar system level if you're being honest. Like some people will argue, and by the way, these past few characters, they're massively faster than light. Well, maybe not massively, they're at least faster than light because they go up against the angels with like ease and like because they're way stronger than Sariel and Tarmiel, which are both faster than light because they use light attacks and travel at light. It's really just non-debatable if you think about it because every time I try to debate somebody about this stuff, they can't give me any direct answer as to how I'm wrong. They just start saying, "Oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're biased." They just literally can't give me an explanation. It can get really irritating. Um, but that's really all I could say for Merlin. She's strong. She has like a huge arsenal of spells she can do basically anything with. She can set up counter spells. She's extremely intelligent, maybe the most we've seen in the whole show. She's immune to commandments. She's immune to curses, all that different stuff. Really strong. Now, this, like, other than the actual power scaling part, these next two slots are going to be way controversial. But this is like just my opinion. And maybe I'm a little biased, but this is my opinion, and I'd say these two next spots can be kind of interchangeable. Number two, I put Meliodas. Meliodas, in my opinion, scales very high. By the end of the show, I think he's around the strength of the Demon King because the Seven Deadly Sins were like dogging on the Demon King, and it was pretty much just Meliodas and Escanor doing all the work, and like they were basically just almost playing with him at that point. Like they weren't even taking any hits. Like the Demon King just had to keep transitioning bodies, transitioning to the earth. Like there's really nothing he can do. They were basically playing with him, and like Meliodas and Escanor did like 95% of the work throughout that entire time. Like that one attack where Meliodas like kept like full countering it around to get it strong. Well, they didn't really need to get it stronger. I think they just needed to position it right. But Escanor's cruel sun was like 98% of the strength that was in that attack. And then Meliodas was enhancing it. So they basically did all the work in the Demon King fight. Um, I'd say Meliodas probably scales to about galaxy level. Like, even though I just said he's around the strength of the Demon King, he's not as strong as the Demon King. Um, I'd say he's maybe around galaxy level, maybe like low multi-galaxy. Because like, it's really hard. Because if I stick to what I'm saying, then he should be like thousands or hundreds of galaxies. But I'm trying to be generous so people don't get too angry. But if I'm being honest, I put him at multi-galaxy level. Now, for the number one spot, my main man, Escanor. When Escanor got the one ultimate, it was just such a big step up in power. He had the Demon King scared when he was in his prime form. That's how strong Escanor was. He had the Demon King scared. I 100% think Escanor is the strongest of the Sins. I still think he's stronger than Meliodas, not by a lot. If they were to fight, like, it'd be really close. I'd say he's maybe like 5 or 10% stronger than Meliodas at most. So I'd also put him at around multi-galaxy level. I think him and Meliodas are both massively faster than light. Because by the end of the show, I'm pretty sure they're probably both around like a power level of maybe not quite a million, maybe like 700,000. And Meliodas was easily way faster than light when he was in assault mode back in season 4 when he fought Escanor, and he only had a power level of 142,000. So you have to just think about how strong they are. And literally back in season 1, when Meliodas had a power level of 10,000, he easily split a mountain in half with a twig. Think about that. Easily with a twig. Not even a sword, not even trying, literally just one slight flick of the wrist with a twig, and the mountain was in half. And if we're being honest, in Naruto, the first mountain level character we saw was Pain when he used planetary devastation. So to see a mountain level character in season 1 of Seven Sins compared to Pain, one of the strongest characters in the show, well, maybe not one of the strongest characters in the show, but one of the strongest, the Akatsuki, which were the strongest of the show for a while. It's just insane. Um, so yeah, this is all I can really say about Seven Sins. This is where I ranked them. Let's do a quick recap. Number 1, Escanor. Number 2, Meliodas. Number 3, Merlin. Number 4, Bonn. Number 5, King. Number 6, Diona. And number 7th in last place, Gother. Um, Of course, they're all strong. They can all be scaled pretty high. I'd say Meliodas and Escanor are the two characters that can be scaled like so fluctuantly, and I want like it's no debate, and like it's my opinion, and I'm pretty sure if you disagree with this, you have to be some form of biased that the Seven Deadly Sins characters and like the Seven Deadly Sins verse in general are the most underrated power verses than people give them credit for in the whole anime community because there's so many people that say things like um that like Naruto solos the Seven Deadly Sins verse. First of all, no, I don't even think he solos Seven Deadly Sins. I think he loses to Escanor and Meliodas individually. And like you have to be brain dead to think that someone like Naruto solos Seven Deadly Sins if you've even watched the show. Because if you think Naruto solos Seven Deadly Sins, just say you haven't watched the show, or just say you weren't paying attention because chaos exists and Naruto's nowhere near as strong as chaos. So that's my ranking, that's my scaling, and that's really all I have to say for this. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.